common vulnerabilities. As we have seen that in mobile application, web application, uh, there are different type of vulnerabilities. Now going into mobile application, there are other type of vulnerabilities. Just want to clarify that if we consider this complete architecture, the vulnerabilities in the web APIs are like similar to the uh, web application. And I think we can take a 2 minute break because Azan is going on. So just we can pause for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, let me resume the session. uh, like talking about vulnerability. This is VAPT, and I mentioned that outcome of VAPT is either vulnerabilities or either misconfiguration. So if it is a VAPT mobile application, you will be getting vulnerabilities of mobile application and misconfiguration of mobile application. So you will be thinking, what are the vulnerabilities of mobile application? So just segregate these parts. Is if this is the part, this is the APK and IPA file, there could this will have different type of vulnerabilities, and web API are these vulnerabilities are just like web application vulnerabilities. So these are the common vulnerabilities in mobile application. Uh, you can see that insufficient authorization and authentication, binary protection, insecure storage, server-side vulnerability, secure apps, source code, cryptography, improper certificate validation, insufficient session expiration. So now just giving a brief overview of them because each vulnerability is itself very detailed. So um, sometimes uh, you may have heard the word of reverse engineering. Sometimes binaries are developed in an unprotected way. Just want to clarify one more concept that the APK files and IPA files, that is Android and iOS application, are actually binary files. So, it, like the reverse engineering is an option that you can get a binary file and reverse engineer it and get the source code back. So it depends upon the developer and the protections. There could be protections that could be implemented in the binary, and it will make reverse engineering difficult. So it is quite possible that you have developed a mobile application with weak controls, and it allows an attacker to reverse engineer that binary. So there could be vulnerabilities at that level. Insufficient authorization, authentication means simply there is an application, is a login panel, you log in into the application, and authorization means that what is the rights that a user have. So sometimes it is possible to bypass the authentication. And just give you an example, in sometimes in Android applications, when you start an application, you see a login page. Now what happens that until you don't have the credentials, you can not access the other pages. We call these pages as activities in the Android nomenclature. Like for example, it's a website, these are web pages. But if going to the mobile application, we call them activities. This is a technical nomenclature of Android application. So uh, no, you open an application in your mobile phone and you see a login page. Now what happens that until you are able to log in the application, you cannot see the next activities, or you can just see next pages. Just for a simple explanation, you cannot see the next activities or pages of that mobile application. So there are vulnerabilities. Sometimes activities are unprotected, and it is quite possible that an attacker can access the activities without login. They can call the activities that are available after doing login of the application. So in this authentication could be bypassed. So insecure storage of information, that is very simple. For example, if there's a mobile application and it is storing some information in the SQLite database that is also in your mobile phone. Now what happened that it is storing the information in plain text. For example, application stores user credentials in mobile database, the SQLite database, and what happens that it is not encrypting the credentials. So anyone with the access of the mobile phone can get these credentials. So this is insecure storage of information. Server side vulnerability, I as already explained, this is the server side. So these are more or less the vulnerabilities of web application. Secure app source code, that is very important. Sometimes maybe you have heard that in mobile application, when you write the code, it is possible to do a randomization, and so that code, when the people do reverse engineering, they see the code, but it is obfuscated. The technical name is obfuscation. So sometimes it is quite possible that you developed an application and you do not do any obfuscation, and it is possible that you developed an application and then you do obfuscation. So these are two possibilities. Obfuscation is a security control. So if you go with obfuscation, it is if someone reverse your application, then it is difficult for him to understand the source code. So it so there could be vulnerabilities at that level as well. There could be no obfuscation. There could be obfuscation, but with weak control. So this thing has to be considered in mobile application development perspective, mobile application security assessment perspective, and if you are a client and you have the mobile application, from that perspective as well. So that you should consider this point as well. Cryptography, no, nothing in this digital era is running without cryptography. Cryptography is everywhere. It is a deep down subject, but for a very, I can explain it in a very simple way. If mobile application is communicating with the backend, and if the communication is encrypted, yes, the mobile application is taking the support from the field of cryptography. Cryptography provides methods of encryption, techniques of encryption, algorithms of encryption. Cryptography provides algorithms for hashing. Cryptography provides algorithms for digital signature, and they have multiple. Cryptography provides multiple security components to the industry. So, uh, in mobile application there is a certificate validation concept, and mobile application validates a certificate of their backend. So if there is improper implementation, it could be bypassed and traffic could be intercepted or impersonated, and there are a lot of attack vectors with this improper certificate validation. But this is a vulnerability that you will find in mobile application. We see lot of mobile application with improper certificate validation, or we see mobile application with no certificate validation at all. So we recommend them to it is a very good security control. So insufficient session expiration, very easy to understand. Like there is an application, either mobile application or a web application. If you log in into that application, a session is being made with the backend. So sometimes user logouts, but like it is quite possible that you log in again uh, without without needing the credentials. So this is like insufficient session expiration. Just want to give a few minutes on this topic as well. For example, you have a mobile application, you have a username and password a login activity or page in front of you. After you log in, usually applications are designed in this way that the backend server assigns the session token. So it is easy to intercept that session token. Now sometimes it happens that after the user log out from the mobile application activity or the page pressing logout, but the session token is active, so you can log in into the application again using this session token. Now you may be thinking that application have a username and password page, there is no session token option to type in. So from the user perspective, it is not possible for the user to type the session token in the username or password field. But from the pen testing perspective, we know how to make a request while using this session token. I will not go into the detail, but just want to show explain you that it is possible to use this session token, and there are different techniques and different tools, but we will not go into it. Just want to explain the idea that after login, if the backend server gives, I have one question. Can anyone tell me what is a binary file? This is very
You mean the binary? What is the binary?
yes. What is a binary file? Just
Zero
giving
one.
you. Okay, just now let's move a little forward. This is consider your laptop. Okay, you have hundred of applications. You have Word files, you have PDF files. So what file could be, you call it a binary file?
All system all read in 1 0.
Um, okay, if you create a notepad file
Hmm.
and you type your name in this file, you call it a binary file. Okay, let me answer. This is a very important concept. People usually do not understand what is binary file. Actually, now consider yourself as a developer. I am a developer and I am developing an application, right? So, for example, I'm making a calculator. At the end of the development, I will make a calculator.exe file and I will share it with you, and you will just double click and use the calculator. So, these basically. Uh, this is actually a binary file. The the code, all the files in your systems, all the software that are gone through the development process and are being compiled and converted into exe, these are binary files. Just giving an example, exe is not an only a single format that could be binary. In Linux, the Linux the extension is ELF, and there are other in different environments. Binaries could be different files, and now in mobile applications, if you get an APK file, you cannot open that APK file in any Word, Notepad, any editor tool, because it is a compiled file. So it is a binary file. So binary is not a word that is specific to APK. APK is also binary because APK, what how you will get an APK? If you're a developer, you will open Android Studio, you will write code, then you will compile, and the Android Studio software will give you an APK file. So in similarly, if you are a desktop application developer, you will install Visual Studio, you will code, and compile. It will give you an exe file. So this is a binary file. So if you go to see Windows System 32, you will see lot of exe files. These are all binary files. Try to open these files in any editor, you will see a garbage. Sometimes in software development, tell you very interesting thing. You can also create a DLL. If you have a Visual Studio in front of you, you can create an exe file as well, and you can create a DLL as well. So all the DLLs that are, there are a lot of DLLs in a Windows file system. You can see, you can also see in your Windows operating system. These all are binary files. So binary means that uh, anything that is gone through a development process, and the outcome of that is a binary file, and you cannot see the binary file. You can open notepad file, you can open word files, you can see the content, but you cannot see the binary file. They are compiled. That is why binaries are being reverse engineered. You cannot open these binary files in word and just see the, okay, what is inside it, because these are being compiled. So look, in your free time, just try to experiment with, or try to open cmt.exe in notepad plus plus. Try to in notepad, try to open multiple DLL files in your Windows file system, because when you install Windows operating system, you get lot of exe files, you get lot of DLL files in default. So all these are binary files, and there are multiple. They exist in multiple extensions, but we will not go into detail. But just want to give you an idea. So uh, this is binary, and in order to get back get back the source code, you will have to do the reverse engineering. Even in if a system is infected with a malware, malware is sometimes usually is an exe file, so it is not possible to you that you can see the code and just drag and drop this file in notepad and any other software. You have to do the reverse engineering, you have to see the code, and you have to understand the working. So these are basically binary files. And so I will not go into the detail, but I am hopeful that you will give an idea that just be practical, consider your laptop, consider your system, see your software, see your files, and then try to decide, okay, which are binary files, which are not the binary files. So in Linux, if consider yourself you are using Linux, then try to decide, okay, what could be a binary file. And just give you an example. Once I was taking an interview, there is a there is application cat in Linux. Cat is used to open a file. Like in Windows, you open a file in Notepad and Notepad plus plus, maybe in some other software. But cat, we open files in Linux. I asked, okay, I have someone that what is a binary file? Just give me an example of binary file in Linux. So even he was a user of Linux, but he doesn't know that the cat I am using for routine operations is a binary file. So just then any application or a software or any code that is being developed through a gone through development process and converted into a form that could not be seen with naked eyes, it is a binary file. So this is from my side. I think this is the question I want to ask, and now it's clear for you. The brother asked a question. I don't remember the name. Is it clear for you?
Yes, yes, clear.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Any other question? Any other question on architecture, vulnerabilities? Just always consider a mobile application. Do not consider it a single entity. Just always consider a design. You know there is a building, a lot of buildings and a lot of floors, and there are rooms. So there are multiple components in a building. Similarly, mobile application, web application, network device, a lot of components. Every component is important from the security perspective. So anyways, let us move forward. Common misconfiguration, there is a long list of misconfiguration, but just for the sake of explanation, uh, this is you know that you have developed a web application, or I am a developer, I have developed a web application that is very very secure, and I have given this application to you people. Now what happens, you register a user and you make a name with Abdullah and password 123. So maybe you register a user with Abdullah and without any password. So this could be uh, a this could be a misconfiguration that you have like this is no vulnerability in the application, but application provides you with all the flexibility, but developer is being forced that we need an application that can allow weak password. So he made that application, but now it's up your responsibility to make like to use a strong password. Or so this is a misconfiguration. And again, if you think of misconfiguration, consider this misconfiguration could be in APK file, consider this misconfiguration could be in SQLite DB. And one thing I want to tell you that uh, um, re- related to misconfiguration, for example, if you forget about this SQLite DB. For example, in my Windows machine, I installed Microsoft SQL, MS SQL, that is a database application. I installed that application. Now I have two options. I have an administrator account in my same laptop, which you see now. If I install that application, if I log in my Windows with an admin user and I install that application, MS SQL, if someone will compromise this SQLite DB, sorry, MS SQL DB in my Windows machine, it will get the administrator level access. No, other thing is that if I log in an application with a test user with a limited access right, now if someone will compromise the MS SQL in my Windows machine, he will get the limited access, he will get the limited user access level. So these are small misconfigurations that people make, and so there could be, the point I want to convey is that misconfiguration could be in any component, just like the vulnerabilities could be in any component. So what does it conclude? That you should be clear of the components of a mobile application, web application. With this, you can ask right questions if you want to get a pen test service, and if you want to do a pen test service, if you want to do a pen test, and you will be focusing on the components. So this is very important. um, for as I know, this is very important. That is a lacking area people miss this. So this is, even if you get more expert, you will split these blocks into more categories. This design a mobile application. No implication of vulnerability is a very simple implication, could be at any level, mobile application level, mobile device like mobile phone level as well, and backend server level as well. So what could be at the mobile application level? For example, if you have a banking application, if you have an social media application, what could be impact if there is a vulnerability in the mobile application, or if it is a misconfiguration in the mobile application? Authentication could be bypassed. I could log in into that application. If, for example, if I get a phone from any of the members that are listening to this presentation, and I have the access of this phone, I can log in into their application if they have vulnerabilities without knowing username and password. So this is authentication bypass. It is a result of misconfiguration or a vulnerability. And just remember, which is the service in cybersecurity that will bring up the misconfiguration and vulnerabilities. That is a VAPT service for you. Privilege escalation, I have already explained. It could be horizontal and vertical. If it is a mobile application and uh, it has 1,000 customers like Facebook. So if I can log in uh, from my account to your account, it is a horizontal escalation. But if I log in into an admin user or super admin user, that is a vertical escalation. And it depends upon the vulnerabilities in the mobile application. So if there are vulnerabilities, what could be possible, authentication could be bypassed. We could escalate the privileges, and there are multiple effects. Uh, I already explained an example of Android application, that if there is for authentication bypass, there could be multiple like, for example, there are five vulnerabilities in a mobile application. The implication of all vulnerabilities are authentication bypass. For example, a mobile application has SQL injection vulnerability, so with this vulnerability you can bypass authentication. No, if a mobile application has insecure activities, with this you can bypass authentication. So there are a lot of techniques. There are a lot of vulnerabilities that result in the same thing, authentication bypass. Similarly, there could be vulnerabilities that may result in privilege escalation. So, and there could be multiple vulnerabilities that result in same privilege escalation. So it is like, the concept is like this: multiple vulnerabilities could have a same impact, or different vulnerabilities could have different impact as well. So at the mobile device level, as I already explained, that mobile applications run over a mobile phone, and mobile phone, these like Android and iOS, they have SQL-like database. So if the mobile application is not storing data insecurely into the database, what is possible? Yes, you can access the database. Now you can get the credentials as well. So this is and it is quite possible that the SQLite database in um, your mobile phone doesn't have the credentials. So maybe uh, with this way, anyone can access the database and uh, get any useful information. And one interesting thing, you see, database corruption. I could for example, if there is an application that is storing some financial records into the SQL database into your mobile phone. Now, if you can access the database, you can corrupt that data. For example, your have account have $1,000, you can make it to 10,000, or you can decrease it to a zero. So database corruption is also possible, and authentication bypass. Usually, sometimes we have seen that application are storing username and credentials into the database. Then you can change the database credentials are being changed, and you can log in into the data. You can log in into the application with this technique. So at the database level, there could be different implications, and mobile application level, there could be different implications. And the backend server is the same. This is I am talking about. So, if there is a vulnerability in the web, it could be possible, like that backend server could be compromised. We can get remote code execution. We can get file system access. And again, if someone can, I want to just know the answer of this. If you know what is remote code execution, what is the concept of remote code execution? Can anyone explain? Just what what you can imagine. Just explain me what you think on this. I will clear the concept. What is forever you will remember remote code execution. Just any rough idea. Just someone.
I think it's about remote control PC or something like that. You can
Okay.
attack the PC from remote control. You
Okay.
like take the control from the PC.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I will give you a very simple concept of this remote code execution. Consider two laptops in front of you. Imagine that on your table there are two laptops in front of you. You are using this laptop one, and the laptop two is on beside you. Now, it is very easy that you log in into the laptop one, and you can do all the things you want. You can do the code execution. You can do everything on this laptop. This is your laptop. But the other laptop that is beside you, it is not your laptop. So for you can do code execution. You can do everything if you log in into go to log into the laptop, but you don't have the credential. So if there is a vulnerability in laptop number two, and it makes you to execute a code uh, from laptop number one to laptop number two. It is called remote code executions. Remote means the other side. So sitting on laptop one, I can execute code on laptop two. Just broadening that example, sitting on my laptop, I can execute code on Facebook server. I can execute code on Instagram server. I can execute code on YouTube server. If I am in an organization, if this is my PC, I can execute code to Abdullah system. I can execute code to another laptop, another one laptop. So this is the concept of remote. Sitting in front of my laptop, I am executing the code in the machines of other laptop. So this is basically, and if you're thinking what is code execution, for example, if you make a script, okay, a simple, PowerShell script, and you just run it, this is a code execution. Just give an example. There are a lot of code execution. If you open a software in your laptop, there is at the back end there is code execution. But if you make a malicious PowerShell script, you can execute this in your laptop. This is code execution, but you can do it in your laptop because it has you have the access of this laptop. But you cannot execute in laptop Abdullah laptop because you don't have the access. But what happens with VAPT? You identify the vulnerability, and you exploit the vulnerability, and then you do a code execution and on the laptop number two. And with code execution, you can run malicious scripts. You can get the snaps. You can get with code execution, you can do anything. Code means that you want something, you have automated this thing. Like I am a hacker, I want that I need to get the pics, I need to get ABC files, I need to delete users. I write it in a script and run that script on the other Abdullah's PC. So this is the concept of remote. Sitting in my machine, I can execute the code in other person machine. That is absolutely not possible. If we are sitting in a room and we are sitting together, if there is no vulnerability, if I don't have the access of the Abdullah laptop, so how can I execute the code? Why I executed the code? I have identified the vulnerability and exploited the vulnerability. Then I have executed the code. Then definitely you can get the access and you can get the session. So this is the word remote. This is the concept I want to uh, uh, be clear very